weekend. I had been recruiting Miles when I was at University of Georgia, and there's a lot of excitement about him. He has speed. He comes from Broken Arrow. David Alexander is the head coach. They won the state his junior year. Has outstanding parents in Blanca and PJ, and it was a good get for us. Next guy is Jashad Stewart. Jashad Stewart was the first guy as a head coach at Arkansas that I was able to see. And the thing I like about him is he's relentless in his effort and the way he plays the game. I had no idea that he's really as big as what he was. I had watched his tape. Obviously, I didn't know him well, but I knew that he loved the Razorbacks. And so after the press conference last Monday, that evening, we flew out there. He was the first guy that I was able to see. And what a wonderful family, what a wonderful kid. Obviously, we're excited about him. Blaine Toll, I went to see him on Tuesday of last week. They had some of the best barbecue possible in Arkansas at their house, and the parents are unbelievable, just very, very fine folks. He's an early out. He'll be here in January. A great-looking kid. We're looking at him as several different positions on the D-line. He can run. He loves the Razorbacks. His parents love the Razorbacks, and he was one that was committed to us, that stayed with us. And currently, they're in Cancun. Cottrell Wallace was the second guy that I saw as a head coach at Arkansas. They have a great family, a wonderful home.
Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. It's our Thursday edition here of OT on the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio on KDSJ 479. And yes, we let you hear audio from yesterday's Coach Sam Pittman's, the Pit Boss, early National Signing Day. And also, too, want to let everyone know there's been two more additions to Coach Pittman's National Signing Day class as 6'7", 270-pound defensive lineman Julius Coates out of East Mississippi Community College has decided to sign with the University of Arkansas. Julius, for some of our listeners that may remember, we had Julius on several weeks ago. At that time, he was committed to the University of Colorado, since decommitted, and now is going to be making his way for the last 2 years at the University of Arkansas. Letter came in just here a little while back, and also too just before we went on air, the recommitment and the and the early signing of 6'4", 215-pound wide receiver Darren Turner of Central High School there in Memphis, Tennessee. He's decided to make his way back. So, Demetrius, let's get off into it. And for all questions, if you have any question pertaining to National Signing Class, early National Signing Day class, you can chime in. Want to first announce the signing class in order as Kellen Burley, 6 foot, 205-pound, Harvey, Louisiana, Helen Cox. Demetrius, let's break this down. This is a kid, when you look at this type of weight, when you look at Kellen, Kellen chose Arkansas over Kentucky, LSU, Tennessee, Texas A&M, West Virginia, and others. When you talk about schools like this, and, I had the chance to go back and watch a little film of Kellen. Very aggressive, plays the type of SEC football that I think you have to be able to play to be one of those really top-notch ball clubs. And I think, for Arkansas to be able to go in there and this late, the kid hadn't visited the University of Arkansas on an official visit yet, but to be able to believe in Coach Pittman and the coaching staff that he's starting to put together speaks quite a lot. And I'm really looking at this at Burley in the future to develop into more of that strong safety type of player.
Absolutely, but I think he'll even play that hybrid linebacker position. With the departure of Dijon leaving, and Dre leaving last year. There's a big void at that linebacker position. So I think he can really come in immediately and make a immediate impact. But the biggest thing that I really like about Sam Pittman in this recruiting class is just the height and length that he went and
Right.
got. He hasn't got anybody under 6 foot yet. And that's a sign that we're gonna be bigger, stronger, faster. To me,
Right.
that's the direction I can really see the type of bodies and the type of players, and when he keeps emphasizing toughness, what he really means, and what's the epitome of the Razorbacks next year.
Now, we always try to get to our questions as we'll continue to break down. If you have any of the questions about how we, our thoughts on the recruiting class, based on what we know, as we do follow recruiting here as well. But we also want to get to our questions. And I believe that Steve Armin, great question, Steve. He's one of our top fans, by the way, Demetrius. I'm going to show him extra love. But Steve says, what do you think about Clint Sterner as quarterback coach? I'll let you delve off into that one first, and then I'll say what I have to say.
I don't know Clint as far as coaching. I'm young. I really didn't get to see Clint Sterner play a lot, but I just feel I have to trust Sam Pittman right now. I believe I have to let him do what he feels is necessary to get him in the position that he needs. If Clint Sterner isn't conducive to what his mode and what his fit is, then I can't agree with him. And I don't know what his philosophy of football is. I really haven't studied Clint, like I said, but I think so far with all the additions that Sam Pittman's made, he hasn't made a bad coach's choice yet. So I'm just eager really to see what the additions are going to be.
You have to think about this also too. I mean, and I'll give my response on the Clint Sterner question. But I was sitting here and I'm looking at the roster for the National Signing Day class, early signing day class to this point. You're talking about 9 guys, 6 being on the defensive side of the football. That lets me know, that this staff already comes in with a wide understanding or a very good understanding of where this team in particular needs to improve on in the very near future. I think as years goes, and I was just telling my producer Demetrius before we came on air, I really feel like in a couple of years, if you look at this, there was 3 kids in the state of Arkansas expected to sign. Arkansas signing 9. There's 6 kids out of this 9. Well, if you want to count Darren, you'd say 4. But they would be 5 of these young men that Arkansas, when you woke up yesterday morning, didn't know. There was a couple of surprises. Dominic Johnson, Julius Coates are 2 that come to mind as big-time surprises. And then you got big-time, flips from guys like Miles Slusher, Ray Curry, Dominic Johnson. You got kids to turn away from schools that had shown them a lot of love, a lot of support, and a lot of want and need. But you have to credit this staff. And then back to the Clint Sterner, I think Clint would be a great quarterback coach. I mean, it's the guy that's played at the university, was a part of some very historical football games, probably the most historical football game in modern day era football here for the Arkansas Razorbacks. I think back-to-back years, same score. Played at the next level for the Broncos, for the Cowboys, and is a known trainer of a lot of the really good quarterbacks in the state of Arkansas and Texas. So, I think that would be something that would be a really nice benefit. But also, too, that I want, and Coach, kind of stressed in a very straightforward way is you want coaches, you would love that to happen, but you want the right type of coaches, the type of coaches that are going to have his belief and have his vision and really go out and sell the program. And Coach, he just got a lot of good options to make. Coach got a lot of good options.
And I don't think a lot of people caught it at the press conference, but when it goes on, it's towards the ending of the press conference. Sam Pittman made a very sly remark that I think a lot of people overlooked because somebody asked about would he hire a coach from Arkansas or would he have any ties? But the thing Sam Pittman said that nobody caught was that he said he would be the best coach to recruit the state of Arkansas. He said he was so shocked at how many high schools were reaching out to him, telling him, take a look at this player, take a look at that player.
Right.
Sam Pittman was talking about, how he would be the greatest Arkansas coach. He would be the greatest recruiter. He didn't need not necessarily ties to Arkansas, but he would make sure he would build the right relationships to get the best kids out of Arkansas. I know he alluded to coaches calling him, bringing them the best players, from their team. He didn't even have to reach out. It was coaches calling him, and he was amazed how the response that the state of Arkansas gave to him in the access to the players. So I think Clint would be good, but I think as far as Arkansas, Sam Pittman, man, his reputation goes a long way. And I think he has a lot of relationships that a lot of people won't realize to like year 3 or 4 when they're really winning games. And you see how he's built, a funnel to different high schools.
Right. And I think that's really good that coaches are already starting to embrace Coach Pittman. And like I said, it goes back to coaches always talked about it, and he mentioned it in his opening press conference, relationships. You hear a lot of times that you hear the Pitt bosses talk, Coach Pitt, and you always hear loyalty and working hard. I mean, these are going to be some of the, kind of quotes that Coach is going to be real synonymously known for, and I think that's going to be real good. But when you look at it also, too, we've got another question. Is KJ Jefferson, Demetrius, going to transfer? I don't see KJ transferring. I know KJ will be having surgery on his shoulder, or has already had surgery. Not 100% sure on that timeline, but I know he is going to be having surgery. I think KJ and that freshman class of skill guys, for the most part, are going to stay on campus. I mean, these were guys that came in following a 2-10 season. So, where they're at is something that they're not, phased. I mean, that he gets a true freshman year. So, for where KJ is coming in under possibly a Major Applewhite or a Kendall Browse as your OC quarterback coach, I mean, you're in a very, very good situation. And with the offensive line reputation that Coach Brad Davis and Coach Pittman are going to start to, employ here at the University of Arkansas, and the staff that Coach Pitt puts together, he's going to be in a really, really good situation. So I hadn't heard anything to that matter that KJ Jefferson is planning on transferring.
Yeah, not to just to add on to that, I believe he still has his red shirt year, if I'm not mistaken. Did he play more than 4 games?
Who's that?
KJ.
No, KJ didn't. He didn't get the 4 games. I think he played enough. I think it was Mississippi State, Western Kentucky. He didn't play in the Missouri game, the season finale. He played in 3 games this year. So yeah, he's
so again, he didn't really lose from this year. That was really kind of experience year. He still can go in as a red shirt freshman, having played those 3 games. So I think when you're looking at KJ, I think he understands that he still has a lot of developing to do. But I think he. Once he sits down, I think if you go back and watch when Sam Pittman was introduced to the team,
right?
And I pay attention to little things. So if you go back and watch the video where Sam Pittman is introduced to the team, you have to see the reaction that KJ gets when he walks up to Sam Pittman. He smiles and looks at Sam Pittman like, "Hey." It's that energy vibe that you could see that KJ was really open to having Sam Pittman come be the head coach at the University of Arkansas.
A lot of people miss the fact that KJ Georgia was one of his unofficial
visits
leading into the summer that he decided to commit to the University of Arkansas. So Coach Sam Pittman is quite familiar with what KJ Jefferson is going to bring to the table. I mean, I'm well aware. I mean, he's too elite of a recruiter and an evaluator of talent to not know. I mean, coaches. I think Coach Pittman may be one of the few coaches that's recruited heavily in each and every state, and when he's done it, he's had success. I mean, you can just tell by the guys that he's able to pull off in this class. But we're going to step away, take a real quick break, let you hear more of what Coach Pitt had to say, and then we'll be back with you to field your questions and look at this class a little bit more in depth. We'll get all that taken care of here in a bit. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
Whole situation, and so we may have to wait until their games are completed to hire them.
Coach, I think you said with Miles Slusher, 11:45. You guys were waiting around to find out where he was committing. What was that like? Was that pins and needles, just kind of sweating it out? I mean, he's
It's
a
awesome,
pretty
man.
big-time prospect. So
Recruiting is awesome. I mean, it's competition. It's selling you, it's selling the university, it's selling the state of Arkansas. And actually, I was driving home, and he called me on the phone, and usually if they call you 11:45, it's not to tell you they're going to go someplace else. I've yet to ever get a player at his press conference that he didn't tell me he was coming before the press conference. So there's always that little glimmer of hope. You always lose. He's going to tell the team he's going to. And so last night when he told me, it was a great get for the university. Because he's such a good kid too. But we wanted him at Georgia, and obviously there were some really good teams on his list, and I'm just glad that his parents are going to be able to see him play, that he's an hour and 45 minutes away from them. But yeah, that's about normal right now. So I was up, and we talked several times back and forth, and text his parents and all that. So it was those days are awesome. I mean, when you win a battle for a guy like that, they're incredible.
Sam, this team obviously has a lot of needs based on the last couple of years, but how big a need areas were offensive line and running back? And in your meetings with the players, did you talk to Rakeem Boyd, and what kind of feedback did he give you? Because he's obviously draft eligible and he's coming off a great year.
I think you'd probably have to ask Rakeem at this point what he's thinking. We want him on the football team. Obviously, he's a wonderful player. I have spoke with him, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 times.
Welcome back. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins, Sports Talk Radio. And real quick before we continue on, I think we got a little clip of today's signing day with Darian Turner down at Central High School. I think we have something. We just never know what we might find. But I think, is that it? Absolutely. Welcome back. It's On the Hill. And we want to give a shout out to our sponsors real quick before we continue on and taking your questions and trying to answer as many as we can. I mean, just keep them rolling. We love the interaction with our fans. It gives us a lot of energy. Like I said, it's not just our show. It's your show each and every day. And the more we communicate, the better this show is going to continue to be. But we let you see audio from today's announcement from 6'4", 215-pound, 4-star wide receiver out of Memphis Central High School, Darian Turner, as he decided to recall those Hogs and join Sam Pittman in that program. Darian was just here recently on his second official visit to the University of Arkansas, and they always said they were trying to get a footprint, Demetrius, in the state of Tennessee, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Texas. And when you look at this roster, and Louisiana, when you look at this roster, they've pretty much been able to succeed. And, when you get Julius Coates out of East Mississippi Junior College Darien School in Mississippi, you're starting to continue that footprint. And I think with Sam and the staff that he puts together, I think this footprint is going to continue to grow even more throughout the South and, in the Midwest. My boy's keeping it going, and I think we're going to read some more questions. I'm asking him to do way too much, but the last question with KJ Jefferson was Cody Blasco, and I want to continue on. Donnie A. Butts, what do y'all think about the linebacker depth we are finally getting? I like it. I think Arkansas still has about another class or two to recruit at that position, as I think they're going to need about 5 or 6 more bodies. SEC type of bodies. I mean, and that's not to a disrespect to any linebacker at the university to this point. I just think, in the SEC you have to get those bigger linebackers, Demetrius. But I like the depth that's being built in this. Andrew Parker, Bumper has, he's going to be going in year 3. I like what they're doing. Zach Zymos is one of those guys. I mean, where do you play Zach? In the new scheme in a Barry Odom defense, Demetrius, and to your point, how do you feel about the linebacker depth that Arkansas is starting to get?
I said on it earlier. I spoke on it earlier. I think linebacker is really a position. I think linebacker and corner is a position that Arkansas needs a lot of help on. I think they can get by with the bodies that they have at defensive line. I feel like they're physically to the standard. I think losing Colin Clay, as far as the younger guys, I think kind of put a little hit in it. But I believe the signees that he's got with guys like Blaine Toll and the guy Julius Coates, I think those guys can definitely feel the departure of Colin Clay. So I think, like I said, I think Sam Pittman is in a good position. If they can add some more positions in the secondary, because I think that's really where they have to grow and get SEC bodies. I think with these freshman linebacker, I think they can come in and play as true freshmen and really produce on a SEC level. But I think that secondary really is it's a lot of help needed.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you now, the kid Miles Slusher, I think that's gonna go down as one of those program jolters. I think kids across the country that are really familiar with Miles and his recruitment and just how well thought of he is on the national scale of things as far as being a defensive back. To be able to turn Miles has been committed to Oregon for a way back in the summer, I believe, is when he committed to the Ducks. Stayed true, and, Sam comes in within a matter of, a little over a week, convinced Miles that Arkansas was the best place for him to continue his education and play his college football at. That's huge. I mean, for those if you've never seen Miles Slusher play, you are going to be very, very, very pleased with the way this young plays in the secondary. This is without a doubt, 100%. I'm saying it because I believe it. An SEC first teamer before he leaves, an All-American, and a future NFL cornerback that you're going to be able to see. I think the way that they're going to recruit signifies. Miles is one of those guys that's going to signify just to the degree that they're going to recruit and what type of player you are going to see here, Demetrius. I mean, I'm telling you, the kid can flat out go. And we're going to try to, like I said, I told you he was the best. We're going to come up with a lot of video of these young men throughout the show. I told you. I'm telling you. I didn't even know that was coming. That's just a cherry on today's show, but want to commend Demetrius for a great job that he does. But, when you look at Miles, as we study his videos during the show, what sticks out, Demetrius, to you about this young man?
Just ball skills. A lot of times I think the weakness that Arkansas had is we didn't have DBs that would play the ball. We had guys that would play the man, and that's how they got beat. It was times where they had the ability to pick off the ball, but they steady trying to make the tackle, and it's like, okay, why didn't you just pick the ball off instead of trying to make the tackle? Now he's caught the ball and made a move on you. And Slusher is the guy, like, he's ready. He likes to play the ball. He's ready to pick. He's ready to break. But he also has the discipline to know when to make the tackle. In his pursuit, that was a weakness, I thought. A lot of our DBs, the pursuits and angles that our DBs were taking were terrible.
Right.
And I think with the addition of like Slusher, regardless if you have playing DB or safety, I think that gives the ability for Fouché to maybe come down and play nickel or scoot down.
This is a kid, Demetrius. Arkansas beat Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss, Missouri, A&M, Nebraska, Notre Dame, Oregon, and a host of others. For this young man. So, this is a kid that this is not something that people are just heaping praise on him. You have to see something on film and like something on film that this young man brings to the table to have so many offers. This is a big-time kid, and I had a chance to watch Miles several years ago at his younger stages when they played up at Bentonville High School, and it instantly jumped out to me. I'm one of those, and you've heard me say this a bunch, and a lot of people, if a dog's going to bite, he's going to bite when he's a puppy. Right or wrong?
Absolutely.
Miles was a very physical kid that night at Bentonville High School, even as a sophomore. And I'm not surprised that he's garnered all the attention that he has garnered. But I mean, it's a big time get. I'm telling you, and in the area that he's in, that Broken Arrow, Jinx, Union. You talk about the guys that are able to get out of there. Brady Latham, Jinx High School, Ricky Stromborg, Union High School. Now you're dipping off into Broken Arrow High School and getting Miles Slusher. You see where we're going, Demetrius? We always talk about the footprint. And I think with Sam's ties being from the state of Oklahoma, and now a lot of those guys that maybe he played against or high school head coaches, I mean, it all goes hand in hand with what he continues to talk about, the ties and the relationships. And I think that's just what it goes in. Sam really recruited Miles Slusher real hard as well at the University of Georgia, and I think that was one of the bigger factors in why he was so confident in, making his flip from Oregon to the University of Arkansas, for that matter. But we're going to step away, get a real quick break. We've got more video, but we'll let you hear more from the pit boss. Then we'll be back with more of your questions. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
Night, and what are your impressions of the new Razorback coach?
And he real honest and upfront with me. The first thing he was talking about was my academic, so he cares about his players, and more than just being on the field, he cares about his players off the field as well.
What was it like knowing that you were one of the first recruits they went to come see? I mean, how cool was that?
Man, it's special, that Coach Pittman, after having a busy day, he come to see his recruits and commits, That's special that he came to come see me first.
What else stood out to you? I mean, looking at Coach Pittman's, bio, just like he's been all over the place, all that experience, what else has stood out to you about him?
I say just, his willingness and, he wanted to be a Hog real bad as a head coach. He wanted it real bad. That's one thing that stood out. He's real hungry for the job.
To get them on campus and get them to camp, because then you know what you're going to get. And so in the future, I think we're going to be able to get kids like that on our campus and be able to recruit them a little bit longer than what we did this time. But Arkansas will sell itself, and I think if we get these guys like this, we can really know exactly what we're getting.
What's your read on the in-state class for the February and just the amount of prospects that might be available when it rolls around?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. I know there's some kids in our state still available. I don't know what the percentage of is the guys that signed today. It may be 75% of the kids signed today. I don't know. I really didn't watch any of the TV today. We had a lot of other things going on with staff meetings and hiring, and there's a lot of stuff going on. But so I really don't know who's left out there. I will say this, that the Arkansas high school coaches have been very gracious in calling me and saying, hey, would you mind looking at this guy, this guy, this guy? And I've been very thankful for that.
Sam, I know you mentioned you and Barry Odom are longtime friends. Did you guys meet at Mizzou in 2000 when you were there? Kind of, how'd you guys meet? Why have you been?
It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. It's our Thursday edition of OTH as we come to you here on KDSJ from 1 to 2 p.m. And real quick, want to give a shout out to our sponsors. That's Lindsay and Associates with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion, located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting. And lastly, KDK's Chicken. That's located at 989 South Razorback Road. Hop on down there, see Keith and Kathy. Get a plate of that love, like they say on the building. Not your mama's. Best chicken and waffles in the South. But we'll let you continuously hear audio from now Arkansas signee Rashad Stewart and the head man, the pit boss, Sam Pittman, as he continued to give breakdown of his initial first National Day signing, early National Signing class, and I think quite the impressive class. But I want to get back to the questions here on our show, and we had a question from Zach Heath Scott. Great question, Zach, by the way. If Boyd leaves, who takes the running back spot? I'm going to throw that to you. D, and then I'll catch the option.
No, I think that's going to be one of those player positions that battles out until the beginning of the year, because I think with each running back you get something different. With the transfer from Arizona, he's a shifty
Smith.
back. What's his name? Traylon
Smith.
Traylon Smith. Yes, Traylon is a shifty back. He's your home run hitter. That's the guy that when you give him the ball, he can take it the distance.
Right.
Then you got the freshman.
Monte Spivey.
Monty Spivey. That's gonna be your future workhorse guy. He can do a little bit of everything. He's a balance back. Then you got the new signee in Dominique Johnson. You got your bruiser. He's gonna be your ground and pound guy. And I think if Rakeem Boyd stays, I think that's your work hog. That's the one you throw down. That's your 4 down back. So I just feel like if Rakeem Boyd, thank you. If Rakeem Boyd, if he stays, I think of course Rakeem starts. But if he doesn't, I think it's a stable. I think they do it as a trio.
Right.
They run a 3-headed monster because I think now with the way the SEC is, you have to have more than one back. I think even when you look at the type of team that Sam Pittman left.
Absolutely.
When you had, what was it?
The Bulldog.
You had Swift. Who was the other running back?
Herring,
and then there was another freshman that would give touches here and there.
Yeah.
So I look at it like that. I think he's really gonna do the running back.
James Cook.
So I think
Dalvin Cook's little brother.
So I think when you look at Sam Pittman, he's the type of guy that understands the running back position needs to be ran by committee, and I do think we have the personnel on campus to do it.
I agree with you. I think it's going to be the start of a new era of the as an SEC running back here at the University of Arkansas. If Rakeem decides to forego his senior year, I mean, I think if he does, I think it's the perfect situation. I think it's going to be the right decision for RB. But I mean, nobody's going to have to live with that decision but Rakeem. But if he does move on, I think Monte Spivey, I think Traylon Smith, I think it's going to be Dominique Johnson. I think Arkansas is going to try to recruit another running back in this class. Could be Ashad Clayton, a young man out of the New Orleans area at Easton High School. I know Arkansas's been in contact and are going to heavily try to get him to flip from Colorado and be a Razorback. His teammate, I keep talking about Cedric Van Pran. They are high school teammates. So hopefully Arkansas is hoping that when the next signing period rolls around. So I think Arkansas is going to sign another running back, but I could see up to 3 or 4 running backs, kind of like how LSU's doing it right now with playing those 4 and 5 linebackers. And I know the big man, the little guy, number 22, gets the bulk of the carries, but they're going to play about 3 or 4 in every SEC. And I think that's just the way what you see throughout the nation is people are playing those 3-4 running backs. No longer are we in the days where one running back can get 25 to 26, 27 carries. Physically, that's just off. I mean, defensive linebackers just too big, too fast, and too strong, and you're going to get hurt eventually. But I think Arkansas is really going to be in a really good state of mind. Let's not forget, Monte Spivey comes out of a program, didn't lose a game, and he was one of the top 2 running backs in the state of Alabama. And coming from the high school that he came from out there in Phoenix City at Central High School, those are dogs at that school. I mean, you have to be a certain breed to run.
That's another thing. You think Sam Pittman doesn't know about Monte Spivey?
Oh,
you think he doesn't already know about that kid? So I really think Arkansas is in a very, very good position when you look at the potential and the guy that's taking over the potential. I think
and we won't, man, and we were remiss, as Sam Hartman pointed out, Chase Hayden, but still, no one knows where Chase is at with this program. I mean, this is the guy that set out, I think, after the first initial 4 games of the season, and we didn't see much of Chase. So
I want to say he got hurt. I thought he had a leg.
I think that's what they said. And it was a lie, and they stuck to it. We'll just say that. Because I saw Chase out running around at practice every week, and I didn't see any of the stuff any of the symptoms or aches and pains that they said he had. But, that's a staff that's going on. And I also, too, want to make a statement real quick because I see it a lot on social media. Razorback fans, be bigger than what you are. Stop trolling what Chad Morris, the Brett Bielema's, the Petrinos, the guys and coaches that's been in the past, let those guys have their own lives and move on to a different career. I mean, you're dating someone else. You're married to someone else. Stay in that relationship. You understand what I'm saying? I'll get off my soapbox, but let's be bigger than that. As a Razorback fan, that doesn't look too good. I mean, when you keep holding on to past things, you can't move on and have great things if you're still tagging old chains behind you. Well, let it go. I mean, those guys are in new jobs and new careers. You do the same. Be in the pit boss era and what Coach Pittman's able to do. It's just what I'm trying to say. So much for my soapbox rant. I believe we got a hidden gem in Sam Pittman as a head coach. Alan Jeter says. Demetrius, great question, AJ. Great question. I do too. I mean, like I said, people that's heard me on here from day one knew that Sam Pittman was a guy that I've always felt was the right man for this job, and I'm just so giddy about it for Sam. For him to be able to put his imprint on the University of Arkansas football program, because I think the glory days under Sam Pittman, from where I sit and what I cover, and we cover such a broad spectrum of this football program, things are on the uptick. You got to be patient. But, Sam said it in his press conference. They'll be glad that I was the head football coach. And I strongly believe it. I tell people, I left Sam Pittman's press conference feeling the same way I did when I walked out of Mike Neighbors and when I walked out of Eric Musselman's press conference. You just knew there was a feeling of things are on solid ground, and the concrete's going to be poured just right, and the foundation will be really solid when the house is built.
I'm going to read a comment by Nick Lee. He says, "I'm not excited about the signing class, but I know they will work out. They will work hard. Whoopie suey. You should be excited. I think." In the coming years, the same people that didn't want to get on the Sam Pittman train early, you're gonna see it. Like the proof is in the pudding. Just watch.
And let's make a point, Demetrius, and I'll let you continue. But Jashad Stewart, let's look at some of his offers. Memphis and SMU and Kansas, weren't these three schools talked about multiple times on throughout college media on game day of how they were doing throughout the season? I mean, starting to be teams that people felt like. Were teams on the rise? I mean,
absolutely.
Arkansas they're getting kids that a lot of these schools want. I mean, like I said, you're looking at Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss, Missouri, A&M, Nebraska, Notre Dame, Oregon. For Miles Slusher, we flip over and you have a commitment. You turned Dominique Johnson from the Missouri Tigers, also Ray Curry from the Missouri Tigers. You're turning SEC football.
Okay, I got one question for you. Name another coach that you think could have put together this type of recruiting class with this many stars in 5 days. No, other than Sam Pittman.
No one.
Name me 3 coaches that were available right when we were doing the hiring process of our new coach. And this is for our listeners too that's online. Name me 3 coaches that you can tell me could have possibly put a better recruiting class together than Sam Pittman.
Further, Demetrius,
because
there's been how many football coaches has been an actual true Razorback fan have watched their press conferences.
But Pat, we don't even got to go that.
And then
far.
we'll
look at the caliber of players after a two back-to-back 2-10 seasons. Name me a coach right now that we could have hired that was available during the Arkansas.
Nobody.
You cannot name me a coach right now that could have put a better a recruiting class together in 5 to 7 days.
Yes.
Better than the one Sam Pittman put together. Everybody should be.
Chad had 18 days, and I think the ones that you really can hone in on that are some of his more elite ones in that first initial class: Mike Woods, Rakeem Boyd. Dorian Gerald still has another year of eligibility to really get a gauge on how that one turned out. Those are 3 of the guys that he brought in that 2018 class. To me, Bumper Pool was another guy that he was able to keep. And I think Ryan Winkle, something about Ryan, I really feel good on the offensive line. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be really, really a major contributor at some point here while he's at the university. But those are just some of the guys. But like you say, Demetrius, you look at that. I mean, look at what Sam was able to bring in here.
Every prospect I think has been a 3-star or higher. if I'm not mistaken.
There's a ton of 3-stars that's getting major checks at the next level, which is the NFL. Last time I checked, there's more 3-stars playing
Exactly. I was going to make
pro
that point.
football than
Absolutely.
5-stars.
So, and then I'm looking at the talent that's already on campus, plus Sam Pittman. See, the difference between Sam Pittman and Chad is going to be Sam Pittman is going to know how to regulate calling a game and organizing how a game should be ran. Anytime you're under guys that have been under Nick Saban, when you talk about Kirby Smart, he was the predecessor for Georgia at one point in time. This guy knows how to run a ball game, how to use timeouts, how to substitute, how to recruit. This man knows how a program should be. A lot of these coaches that we have had, even when you think of Petrino, he had good teams. There's a big difference between teams and programs.
Absolutely.
I think Sam Pittman has the ability to build Arkansas into a program and not have spurts where we have good teams, but there's going to be consistency.
But yeah, at the same time, Houston Nutt did recruit Darren McFadden and Felix Jones, but Houston Nutt recruited those guys because he was the coach here the prior years before. Houston didn't have to come in and scurry and put something together. I mean, Houston Nutt you're talking about, I think, 10 years in when he gets Darren McFadden and Felix Jones. No other situation that I know of, and I can say this for a fact because I've covered the program and been around the program that long. I've never seen a head coach in any sport on that campus where a coach took the podium and with the realest, most genuine as he can be, emotion, genuine cold stone emotion, those tears were real. I've never seen a coach express how much he wanted to be there. And it might not have been the sexy because it wasn't, but I like real. And it was genuine, and I think that's what's going to sell here to the recruits. Nobody wants sexy when you walk in that room. We're going to talk about X and O's and how can you get me to the next level. And that parent, that mom, dad, and that young man is going to look at Sam Pittman dead in his face and from those conversations be able to disseminate if he's real or if he's not. And like you said, Demetrius, in a short period of time, you look at the 5 kids that he was able to convince, or 6 kids now, to come and be Razorbacks outside of the 3 that were, in-state kids, great, and they're going to be difference makers. Blaine, Rashad, and Cottrell are going to be big-time players on that defensive side of the ball for the University of Arkansas. But to be able to do what he did in the situation the way it was, I mean, he took a job over that basically the whole country was laughing at Arkansas after they lost Lane Kiffin. You're 4-20. I mean, you're 1-23 in the SEC. And to be able to convince the kids of this caliber, because these are some football players. They may be 3-stars, but I'm talking about football players. A star can't save you in the SEC once you put that helmet on Saturday. Stars don't matter. It's who's going to go get it. And Sam, it's going to be a tough football team, I promise you.
So Pat, I'm gonna go off the limb and just make a bold statement. I have a good relationship with Nolan Richardson. I talk to Nolan all the time. The same vibe that I get from Nolan Richardson and talking to Nolan Richardson, I get from Sam Pittman. No way am I saying they're on the same level of coaching ability or status, but the comfortability and the reassurance that I think he knows what he's doing, I get from talking to Sam Pittman like I do from Nolan Richardson. I think Sam has that same ability to go in and talk to a kid and understand how to really.
No, we got a good question, Demetrius.
Commit. Go ahead.
Zach Heathcote. This dude shot. ZH. Great. This is a good one. I'm telling you, I got to shoot this because I know this is something you just are gonna salivate to answer. But Zach says, if we had a Sam Pittman type of old line this past year, what would our record have been?
I mean, no less than
Sam
6-6.
Pittman, big boys. This team could have went 6-6. No, I mean 7-5, 6-6.
I just say 6-6. I won't even go overboard. I'll say 6-6.
This team could have went bowling.
I mean, even when we look at Ole Miss, you look at Texas A&M. That's 2. So now you're 4. They wouldn't lose.
And the reason I think because there's one particular thing. Sam Pittman is going to play the best player. There's no age limit in the SEC, and I know for a fact watching this year, Demetrius, and I told you a bunch of times, the freshman offensive linemen at certain spots should have been given the opportunity to be the starter. and should have been given the opportunity to probably hold on to that spot, and that's just not what I see. And with Sam, he had guys in here before Kirkland and Skipper came on, but he had no problem in starting them. When Trey Tola came from JUCO, had no problem in starting him. Bragnell's the same way, had no problem in playing the young man. I mean, Sam Pittman's going to play the best player, and as evidence at Missouri, I watched Coach Brad Davis. He's going to play the best player. The best players are going to play in this program. They actually are for the first time.
And let's be honest, Arkansas didn't have a tough schedule last year. Like, if you really break down the schedule of the teams, they had rough stints where they were playing tough teams kind of back to back. But if you look at their schedule really wasn't difficult to really kind of maintain. I just think they didn't have an identity.
Steve Armin, we're still here in the media trying to find out who the strength coach is going to be. I think Coach Pittman made a note to us in yesterday's press conference that he's going to try to have everything wrapped up on all positions. With that being the strength coach spot, Tuesday, I know came out yesterday as was reported. Pat Daugherty, he had been here, former Arkansas alum, will be joining Coach Sam Pittman as football operations there at the University of Arkansas. So I know Pat's going to be real happy. Want to welcome him back to the Hill. Or Pat Daugherty, want to welcome him back to the Hill, and I know he's going to do a good job. It's when it's your own personal alma mater and you have a part or the ability to impact it. I mean, you're going all in. And it goes back to Sam Pittman and why I feel so good. He's all in. I mean, I think this is going to be Coach Pittman's last job. I strongly believe that. I think when he's done here at Arkansas, he's going to be done with college coaching, and he and Jamie will retire to Hot Springs, live a very, very good life, and continue to root on the Razorbacks. That's how much I'm excited about Coach Pittman. But I think that's going to wrap up our show today. Wanted to give a thank you for all our questions. You guys continue to bring them in, and we're going to continue to shoot you out what we know as well. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, as this would not be possible, and that's Lindsay and Associates with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion, located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting for anything in exterior, interior, residential, commercial. I mean, if you need it to look good, contact Corey Beck. He did our studio here, and I know I'm very, very happy and pleased about it, and you would be too. And lastly, KDK's Chicken, located at 989 Razorback Road. Go down, see Keith, Kathy, and get a plate of that love. And like they say, it's not your mama's, the best chicken and waffles in the South. But for my producer, Demetrius Johnson, and myself, to all you listeners, thanks for the questions. Keep them coming. Keep supporting us. Also, too, if you'd like to sponsor the show, you can do so by reaching out to us on our Facebook page. That's On the Hill Sports Talk. Also, to our YouTube live page, Sports Talk, On the Hill Sports Talk LLC, or you can reach us on our email. That's at Pat Jenkins. On the Hill, patj@gmail.com, and shoot us information, and we'll definitely try to get back with see what we can work out. But that's going to do it for our Thursday show. And, we got Friday coming up, and we'll be back, and we hope you will too. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. You guys have a blessed one, and let's get it.